In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all the tools that you're going to need to get started with artificial insemination with dairy goats, and just kind of talk about some of the things I've learned in my research, some changes that I would like to make, why utilizing AI is so beneficial or can be so beneficial to your breeding program, and just kind of share some resources with all of you to help you get started as well. Overall, I spent about $200 on all of my AI supplies, and that's not including renting the tank, that's not including the semen itself, but as far as the actual supplies that I needed in order to perform a successful artificial insemination, timing is everything when you AI. AI is not meant to be a totally sterile procedure. Hey guys, I'm Kaylin. Welcome back to Fable Hill Farm. Today's video is going to be all about getting started with artificial insemination in dairy goats. Now, it's really important that I start this video off by making it absolutely clear that I am neither an expert in goat reproductive technology, nor am I a veterinarian. So nothing that I'm going to be discussing in this video is intended to be taken as veterinary or medical advice for your goats. You should always talk to a vet. You should always have a local goat mentor. You should always do your own research. There are lots of experts in the field of goat reproduction and reproductive technology. I am not one of those people. I am not by any stretch of the imagination an expert. I've only ever artificially inseminated one goat. However, I will say that as a solo individual who artificially inseminated a goat for the first time by myself, without, another helper, hands-on or anything, solely through doing research, through reading some different pamphlets I'm about to show you, as well as watching some YouTube videos, doing some reading, talking to other breeders, talking to some vets. I was successful in AIing that doe, and she was confirmed pregnant via ultrasound just recently. So that's super, super exciting. And I cannot wait to utilize AI more in my breeding program in the upcoming years. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on this video. If you're watching this video, then you're obviously probably interested in AI and dairy goats. Maybe you've already attempted some AIs. Maybe you're seasoned at doing it. I don't know if you'll learn anything from me if that's the case, but yeah, lots of great information to share. I hope that you guys will enjoy this video. Just as a little background information about who I am, if you're new to the channel, I'm Kaylin. I raise registered Nigerian dwarf goats. I've only been breeding goats for about 3 years. This will be my 3rd year kidding, 2023. However, I have been following the Nigerian breed for like 15 plus years at this point. I have wanted goats pretty much my whole life, and we just took the plunge a few years ago when my husband retired from the military and we moved back to Michigan and bought our farm. Why should you consider utilizing artificial insemination in your breeding program? Well, the reason is pretty simple. You have access to genetics that you may otherwise never have access to, whether those genetics just aren't for sale. You could be looking at animals that are deceased, animals that breeders don't really let go of those genetics, or there's just not very many of those animals, especially in your region, because let's face it, transporting goats is expensive, and especially when you're new to breeding and raising competitive dairy goats, you're more than likely going to be looking at breeders that are in your general region as far as where you live in the country. Just because, again, I've stressed so many times, I will say over and over again, having a local goat mentor is so important. So when you're talking about a local mentor, how do I find one? Typically, it's going to be the person that you're buying your first goats from, or, purchasing their genetics. That's going to be the person more than likely who's going to be mentoring you. So choose wisely, not only for, having quality animals, but also for having somebody that can be that resource for you, because there's a steep learning curve with goats. So utilizing artificial insemination can really help to propel your breeding program forward exponentially by using animals whose genetics are far superior to anything you might be able to access locally. And you can make some really big steps forward or jumps forward in your breeding program by utilizing artificial insemination. You can also do yourself a real disservice if you're, say AIing to a bunch of different sires, and then you have like this crazy hodgepodge of genetics that might not look similar, might not be similar type, or don't, mix well together. There's a really big pool of Nigerian genetics out there. And there's a lot of different types of Nigerians. And if you're looking for consistency of type, you do have to be really careful when you're utilizing artificial insemination, because you could wind up with a kind of a mess on your hands, genetically speaking. The first thing that you're going to need in order to artificially inseminate your dairy goats is a semen tank. Now, there are all different sizes and types of semen tanks, but the key thing is that you have a tank that is designed to hold and store semen that is filled with liquid nitrogen. Semen needs to be frozen in order to remain viable. And when frozen semen is exposed to warmer temperatures, to fluctuating temperatures, it will begin to kill the sperm. So it's important to know that you need a semen tank. You can't just like get a straw from somebody, pick it up at their house, and like drive it back to your house and AI your goat. Like, that's not a viable option. With artificial insemination, your biggest expense upfront is going to be the tank. However, I did not know this until this year, just recently. The only reason that I made the foray into AI this year was because I found out I could rent a semen tank from a local company. Not only could I rent a tank and it was super affordable, but they actually dropped it off at my house, filled with liquid nitrogen, and then they picked it back up, and they will store the remainder of my semen until next breeding season when I need it. So that was a really, really cost-effective option. And you can certainly look into that and see if there's something like that where you live. I don't know if that's a common business model or not, but here we have that option available here in West Michigan. The company that I dealt with is amazing. It's a mom and pop business. They're really, really nice, really knowledgeable people. I highly recommend them, Michigan Livestock Services. I will link them down below if you're in Michigan, if you want their contact information. They also do service other states in the region as well. So if you're in the Midwest, that might be something you can look into. So again, I will link their contact information. But step one is you're gonna need a semen tank. And then of course, you're gonna need semen. Now, if you get a tank, you might be able to find, a breeder near you that has semen for sale, and you can, drive your tank to them and get semen. Or your other option is typically going to be to pick up semen from, like, say, somebody at a show. Nationals is a big time for semen exchange. Or rent a shipper from a semen company, like, for example, Blue Mountain Genetics, who is the only company that I've currently purchased semen from, and I've had a great experience with them. Brandon at Blue Mountain Genetics is a nice guy, and they've got some nice options as far as being able to like pay ahead for your semen and pick it up later, kind of a deal. So they also had some Rock and Black Friday sales this year, and yeah, I did treat myself a little bit on Black Friday to some goat semen. So woohoo! So you're gonna need semen. Once you've got the tank, once you've got the semen, you're going to need the necessary supplies in order to artificially inseminate your goat. So I'm just going to show you what I purchased. And there are like kits that you can buy, for example, from Biogenics, which is where I purchase most of my supplies from. I did not buy a kit after doing research, talking to other breeders who, utilize AI. But you can purchase a kit, and I've heard really good things about those kits. So I will link Biogenics website down below if you're interested in that, and looking at their products. I'm not saying that they're the, best there is, but they are considered one of the best, and that's, good enough for me. Again, I did a lot of my own research. You should too. And Biogenics is a great place to start if you want to start to price everything out. Overall, I spent about $200 on all of my AI supplies, and that's not including renting the tank, that's not including the semen itself. But as far as the actual supplies that I needed in order to perform a successful artificial insemination, I spent around $200. Okay, so I've got my equipment out here, and I'm just going to kind of show you guys everything, starting with educational resources. I purchased these two pamphlets here. This one from Biogenics, this is Introduction to Caprine Artificial Insemination, and this has got some good information here on, on tanks and on heat and recognizing heat in does, as well as the actual process of inseminating and equipment and supplies. So this is one book I bought, and then the other book I actually got from Caprine Supply, and this is made by Magnum Semen Works, and this is a great book. The picture is super funny, but this has this really fantastic chart in here. It's got similar information to the other book, but what is so great, let me see if I can find it here. It's this cool chart, and this just shows you timing as far as heat, and so this is a really neat resource. And I read both of these books, and then I went ahead and I watched some YouTube videos. I will try to link below all the YouTube videos that I found really helpful. There aren't many of them, to be sure, but there were a couple of videos that really show you how to AI go step by step. And that's honestly all I did. Was I read these books. I talked to a few breeders to get some tips and advice. There's a couple of online Facebook groups where you can ask questions. And then I watched those YouTube videos over and over and over again, and that's how I performed that successful AI. So we've got the books. This is an old gun case my husband gave me. I'd like to get a new case at some point, a bigger case that's just not in the budget right now, that can fit absolutely everything in, but alas, this is what I have to work with, and don't get me wrong, this case is awesome. So you're going to need lube. Lots and lots of lube. This is a non-spermicidal lube. Of course, it needs to be non-spermicidal, and I got this from Biogenics. This is the actual AI gun that I purchased. This is the hybrid gun from Biogenics. There's also one, I believe it's called the Continental. That's just the one that I decided to go with. You'll definitely need a gun. There are lots of different kinds of speculums, and I purchased all the kinds because I just wanted to have the options as a newbie in case I didn't like or wasn't comfortable with using one or the other. So this is considered the normal speculum. This comes in the Biogenics kit. There's one more piece that goes with it, but for some reason it wound up in my kitchen, so I have to get that out of there. So this is a plastic speculum. This is called a French or a duck-billed speculum. And both of those I got from Biogenics. This one, I'm sure if you're a woman and you're watching this might look a little familiar to you. So this is one type. I did not use this one at all, but I just wanted to have it. It was really cheap to buy, so I wanted to have it just in case. And then the other types of speculums are glass speculums, and I did use these. I also used the plastic one. I guess I should mention, I did use 2 straws of semen on the doe I AI'd. The reason for that being that when I AI'd her, back up, timing is everything when you AI. And that's why those books are so great, because they do talk more about that. And so when I chose to AI the doe, 12 hours later, I still observed her in a strong heat. And everything I read said, if 12 hours after you AI a doe, she is still in a strong heat, then you need to put another straw in her again, because it means that you were too early in the process and she wouldn't be likely to settle on that first straw because it was too early. Sperm can only live for so long in the doe. So I did go ahead and use 2 straws. To me, it was still totally worth it to use those 2 straws because, hey, the doe is pregnant, and getting even 1 kid from those 2 straws was still worth every penny to me. So we'll see. But I just wanted to point that out, that I did use 2 straws. So I did 2 separate AIs, and the first time I used a glass speculum here. And these glass speculums are made by a dairy goat breeder named Sandy Van Echo, and you can find her on Facebook and send her a message and order these. These are really affordable. I ordered them in 2 different sizes, a total of 3 speculums. Those were highly recommended by several others in, you know, my research. So I did go ahead and buy the glass ones. I used those to check her both times. And then I used one the first time I inseminated her. And then I used the plastic speculum the second time that I inseminated her. The other thing in relation to the gun, the AI gun here, you're gonna need, these are sheath covers. Now these are sterile, and these go over the gun, and that way you are protecting, you know, the gun as well as the dough from, you know, bacteria. AI is not meant to be a totally sterile procedure, because if you think about it, when a buck is breeding a doe, that's not a sterile procedure at all. Bucks, you know, have a lot going on down there. So it's not meant to be totally sterile, but the biggest things are that you're not introducing, you know, bacteria into the dough. So everything should be, you know, clean and sterilized, but it's not considered a totally sterile procedure. So that's kind of important. Something that should be sterile is your straw cutter. This is a straw cutter. This is what you use to cut the top of the straw, and you just stick it in here and then you squeeze it, and it has a little blade. You might be able to see it here, I don't know. Has a little blade in there. It's really, really important that that is sterile completely, because otherwise you could risk there either being like semen from, you know, previously cutting a straw on there, or from, you know, just like bacteria from the last time you inseminated. And because that gun is the thing that's going all the way into the dough and then is pushing that straw into the doe's cervix, that would be the fastest way that you would be introducing, you know, bacteria into the dough. So yeah, make sure that your straw cutter is sterile. And sure, you could use like some type of sharp scissors or something, but this is a tool designed to cut the top of a straw, and they're really cheap, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have one. So I also have here, which is just a tip I picked up from my research, are some little like clips here and a rubber band. And these I use to help to affix my light I'm about to show you to the speculum when I did that. So let me see here. I think I went through everything. Got speculum, gun, sheath covers, my 3 glass speculums there. Oh, this is a stick for measuring the liquid nitrogen levels in your tank. And I got this from Biogenics as well. And this is an important tool to have, especially if you have your own tank, but even if you rent one or borrow one or whatever. So this just allows you to make sure that your tank isn't running too low. Let's see here. Okay, so these things I bought just as like a test. I wanted to test, and these are like a long plastic cover, and I bought these to go over my light that I'm about to show you, just to make it a little bit more sterile when I'm putting the light into the speculum here. So lots of people use this type of light. There are also pen lights. Again, Biogenics kit has a light in it. That was actually the review. I heard that people didn't like the light that came with the kit, which is why I didn't buy it. But anyways, there's all different kinds of lights. You need to have a good light. You really can't AI a dough successfully without a light. And if you do, that's just like luck if that happens. So I bought this. This is really affordable. And when I bought mine, it was on sale. This is an endoscope. So it has a camera and a light. So it has the light here, and it's like a bendy, you know, thing. So you can bend it and flex it. It's made to do like, you know, sure, like, they make these for like medical procedures, but this one, which is not a medical grade one, is for like if you have a leak and you're trying to like look in a wall or in a tight space, something like that. That's what this is designed for. So this is like a trade tool more so. But I bought the endoscope, and the cool thing is that you can hook it up. It has like its own built-in Wi-Fi, and it is compatible with your phone, and there's an app. So you actually have to go into your settings, into your Wi-Fi. It has its own Wi-Fi. So you have to connect to its Wi-Fi. Let's see here. No, it's not gonna work. Let's see. Here we go. So here's this. All right, it says I'm connected. Okay, so here's the app here. Here we go. So you can see here, yeah, I have a camera on my phone that's connected to this little endoscope. So such a cool tool, really affordable. It was less than $40 and worth every penny, especially once you figure out how to secure it. That's the only downside. Again, that's why I had these like clips and stuff, is you need to be able to secure it to your speculum so that you don't have to like hold on to it. But it's a pretty awesome tool. The last thing I just want to mention in this video is that not every doe is a good candidate for AI. And if you've done research on AI in dairy goats, I'm sure that's something that you've read about. Some does, for various reasons, just aren't good candidates. Maybe they have like a tilted cervix, or maybe they have a lot of scar tissue from previous bad kiddings, or maybe really common reason why a doe might not be a good candidate for AI is because she has either silent heats or really short cycles. Those types of things are going to make it hard to identify when is the right time to AI your doe. And again, timing is everything. So practice, 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 bearing in mind that there are people who've been AIing for years and still don't have a great success rate. 50% success rate, from my understanding, is considered pretty decent. And then like 60 to 75% is considered very high. So, overall, what I paid to start the process of utilizing AI in my breeding program was, again, around $200 for the supplies. I had the cost of renting the tank, the filling of the tank, the drop off the tank, the pickup, which was around $70. So we're looking at about $270 there, and then the cost of semen. Typically, semen is sold in a 5 straw quantity, especially if you're buying it from a company. Usually you have to purchase in increments of 5. If you're buying semen from a breeder, whether their own buck they had collected that they have a lot of straws of, or just somebody who's got some, you know, extra semen that they're looking to sell, you might be able to purchase in like quantities of, you know, 1 or 2 or 3, but typically you're gonna have 5 straws. There are big price variances in semen, and Nigerian semen tends to fetch a premium price, just like Nigerian kids sell for a premium dollar. So there's a huge difference between like low quality, or like not even necessarily low quality, but like a younger, unproven Nigerian buck. You could be looking at paying around $125, $150 for 5 straws of semen. Or you can pay upwards of like $500 or more for 5 straws of semen. So, you know, you have to factor in all those things. And again, if you're buying from a company and you're having that semen shipped to you, not only do you have to buy the semen, but you're going to pay around $150 to $200 probably to rent a shipper to actually ship the semen to you. So you're going to have that additional cost as well. So all things to consider, but I do hope that this video was helpful to those of you who may be interested in getting started in AI, or who are, you know, just kind of doing a refresher before breeding season. I am really, really excited. I was so unbelievably shocked to be successful with that first AI on my doe haggis, and I can't wait to utilize AI in the future. I'm actually going to be putting on an AI workshop here in West Michigan next year, and that workshop is going to be taught by a local veterinarian who's been kind enough to volunteer her time to teach that workshop. She is experienced in dairy goat reproduction. She is a dairy goat breeder, and she utilizes AI a lot in her own breeding program. Her name is Dr. Donna Barsky, and she was kind enough to volunteer to teach that course. I'm also going to be having Michigan Livestock Services come out, I believe, and they're going to be doing like a mini lesson on like different types of semen tanks, maintaining tanks, safely handling tanks, things like that. and they'll be doing that information. And then we'll probably do a little class on, you know, again, the tools that you need, and we'll hopefully have some, you know, different semen sales going on there as well. So if you're in West Michigan or you're in the Midwest, you know, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, if you might be interested in coming to that, you can go ahead and shoot me an email or a Facebook message. My contact information will be down below so that you can get notified when we've got that date and location set in stone. I'm still in the planning process, trying to find a good location for all of that, but that will be coming in the spring. I believe we're shooting for like May on that one, maybe June, so we'll see. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I hope this video was informative and helpful to some of you. I appreciate all of you taking the time to watch my videos. If you're not already subscribed, if you are interested in learning more about Nigerian dwarf goats and raising competitive dairy goats and showing goats and milk testing, all that jazz, be sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so YouTube lets you know when I post new videos. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be sharing a video up and coming on my 2023 breeding plans, who is bred, who is yet to be bred, who they're all bred to, all of that, my breeding goals and my you know, hopes for the future with my breeding program. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.